Welcome to We Chat Divorce, hosted by Karen Chellew, Legal Liaison, and Catherine Shanahan, CDFA. Each episode, we sit down with divorce professionals and industry experts to provide insights and frank discussions about real people, real situations, and real divorce to help you achieve your best life post-divorce. This episode of We Chat Divorce is brought to you by My Divorce Solution, offering divorce financial planning so clients can secure the divorce settlement they deserve. Visit mydivorcesolution.com to request access. One of the most disorienting parts of divorce isn't always what's happening on paper. It's what's happening in your reality. When your experience is constantly questioned, minimized, or rewritten, you start to doubt your own memory, your instincts, and even your truth. Welcome back to We Chat Divorce, brought to you by My Divorce Solution. I'm Karen Chellew, Legal Liaison, helping you navigate divorce with clarity, structure, and confidence.
And I'm Catherine Shanahan, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst and Divorce Financial Specialist here at MDS, where we believe that preparation isn't just about numbers, it's about understanding what's real, what matters, and how to protect yourself when things feel unclear.
One of the biggest challenges we see here at MDS, especially in high conflict situations, is when someone is just not dealing with disagreement, but with manipulation that distorts reality itself.
And to those listeners who are questioning their own judgment, wondering if things are as bad as they feel, or feeling like you can't quite explain what's happening, just know that you're not alone and you don't have to figure it all out today. And I think, Karen, during this conversation with Tracy, of which we had many, it really brought me back to self-reflection, because I've had the experience, the personal experience here for what she speaks about. And, I have to be proud of myself for breaking away from all of that and really getting my own independence and my own feeling of self-worth, that I could really have a great life after divorce. And I hope that, if that's where you're feeling right now, that you're feeling like you're a little bit crazy because of how your spouse is treating you, you'll get a takeaway today that'll help you plow through it all. And it will take time, but you can plow through it all.
Absolutely. And letting that be their story and not yours, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important, actually.
And if you've ever felt like your reality was being challenged or rewritten during your divorce, this conversation is going to give you language, clarity, and validation. So let's get into it. Tracy, welcome back to We Chat Divorce.
Thank you so much for having me. I miss you ladies. It's good to be back.
So fun.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, Tracy Malone is a coach and educator who helps victims of narcissistic abuse rebuild their lives and protect their families. She's the author of 3 best-selling books, including Divorcing Your Narcissist, You Can't Make This Shit Up, and Estranged by Lies. Through her work across multiple platforms, including 5 websites, a YouTube channel, and over 4 million views, and a globally ranked podcast, Tracy reaches over 1 million people each year who are learning to recognize and heal from hidden abuse. So Tracy, as I've just stated here, you've been a trusted voice for so many navigating these dynamics, and we're really glad to continue this conversation here with you. And today we're talking about gaslighting and what that actually means.
Yeah. And the thing about gaslighting is everyone knows the word, but they don't necessarily understand, oh, that was gaslighting? Whether it's in divorce or in estrangement or any kind of relationship with a narcissist, when I explain it, they're like, oh yeah, that's been happening way longer than I thought. Because the word doesn't show the actions of this is what it sounds like, this is what it feels like. So,
well, let's define what it is then. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about it?
So gaslighting is an insidious form of abuse. It is mind control, if you would. Just repeating things over and over to make the victims question their own reality. If they felt something, saw something, heard something, And then the narcissist comes along and goes, that never happened. You're the crazy one. You're always imagining things, right? But it is also important to understand that it is a gateway to abuse. Like I always tell my clients that if you didn't pass the sniff test on gaslighting and you went, I'm not tolerating that. I know what you're doing. You would have never been in a relationship with someone like this, right? That you pass a series of tests as they twist the reality along the way. And if you just don't know what it is, boom, you are in with them because now they know they can use this tool as a weapon. So it's really important to make sure people understand what it is, what it feels like. But we also have to recognize that while coercive control is not necessarily legal everywhere, it's starting to take hook in things. And gaslighting is on the coercive control list. So it becomes, okay, we have something to put our hang our hat on. So it's going to have a lot more teeth in the court systems and the divorce system world, hopefully soon.
Yeah. And then it often makes you feel like you're crazy, right?
It makes you feel like you're so confused and did I do that? And it's not just one time they're saying it, it's repeated, it's almost brainwashing until you acquiesce. I have a story I tell all the time when I was married to my ex, that when we first got married, we decided to use his American Express points to get Home Depot cards, and $100 cards. We probably got 12 or 14. And he showed them to me. He stuck them next to his bed and I never saw them again. And him and his entire family group gaslit me and said that I lost them. I laminate everything. I have a labeler and things in my bathroom are labeled. I am so organized, it scares people. I would have never lost them. But for years, I fought it and said, no, I didn't. I never touched them. I kept on fighting back. And then it was the gang of them, the family go, oh, you aren't very responsible. You lost the Home Depot dollars. I'm like, I didn't. And I proclaimed it until I finally, after 10 years, acquiesced and went, fine, whatever. I'm not going to argue. Right? That's where they had me. And because it was not just my ex doing it, it was his whole family. Then they could use this, go, she's not the responsible one. When I was the responsible one, right? But that took away my power. And it took away my power in my divorce because still didn't know what it was. I just was fighting back and then I just acquiesced. And that's what happens with everyone. They are worn down by it until they finally go, fine, whatever, even though they know it's not true. So you've already been in a gaslighting world. If you are getting a divorce from a narcissist, you've been gaslit all along. You've been gaslit from the moment you met them about who they were, what their life was, who they were with, the people that, they were a victim of. That was all lies, right? And lies are gaslighting, but it's not just a lie, it's a lie with a purpose to confuse you and overwhelm your emotional system so that you have no power.
Gosh, I can remember when I would say, you always say this. And he would say, always, always. Like, did I say it yesterday? Did I say it this morning? They would take that one word and just
Mhm.
drill that back into you. Like, you never do this for me. I never. You remember 3 years ago when I did that? Now you're saying never, never. Like, they just take that one word to make you feel like you're crazy. Like, oh my God, am I crazy? Yeah.
And if you know the acronym DARVO.
No.
DARVO is I call it the love language of a narcissist. It's deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And that by virtue is what gaslighting is. They deny, I didn't do that. What do you mean? I never said that. And then they attack you. Well, I've said it. And then you're the offender and they're the victim. So gaslighting is DARVO in most instances, but it's important people to understand this is the thing.
Yeah. Tracy, I find it very interesting that in your specific Home Depot example, that your superpower of sorts was the very situation that was used against you. Do you find that to be common? Like what you're really good at is actually what is you're attacked with?
Wait, so you
Absolutely.
mean because she always was organized and did everything,
Yeah.
like now they're using that against her? Yeah, that's a good
Absolutely. They
question.
try to take your superpower. Again, if someone is a great mom, they're going to bash them to take them off the pedestal. And I'm not saying you're on a pedestal because you were a good mom, but you know you're doing good. And then if they sit there and criticize and you did this and you did that and did that, and all of a sudden you don't feel like a strong mom. And that's what it is. It's really just this brainwashing into thinking that your superpower, as Karen just said, is not really a superpower. Take you off that. If you're good at this, it wasn't a good dinner. You didn't really do it right. It could have been better, right? All of those little picayune things are gaslighting, as you said, to take away your power and your biggest strengths so that you're left as a shell.
So, what are some other common phrases, patterns, examples of gaslighting? I guess more of the common phrases that would resonate with people.
Absolutely. So the number one thing I think that everyone has all heard is you're too sensitive. You have to grow a thicker skin. Something's wrong with you, because these are what you think, and you have to learn to tolerate the abuse, right? You're too sensitive. That is, again, number one in the dictionary of things that could come up. But if we think about it in a divorce sense, I'll destroy you if you divorce me. I'll take the kids. Oh, there is no money. Again, these could be lies, but it is to convince the person they have no power. You're not going to see your kids. You're not going to get anything, right? And repeat it enough times. And if someone was financially out of their own picture in their role as a family person, it's easy to say there's no money. And you're not going to get anything. You have no rights. That keeps victims stuck. That one gaslighting is just going to go in and keep them stuck, right? So, how about, don't worry, I'll be fair. Right? I mean, that's a really big one. And when people fall for that, I trusted my ex. Don't worry, I'll be fair. And then I was off guard to the attacks that I was getting. And I kept thinking in my head, oh no, he'll be fair. That's fine, right? You get the things like I've already paid support. I already paid this. It's in the mail, right? I'm not hiding any money. And then shifting blame to the victim for abuse in the marriage is another way, sort of, and minimalizing their concerns. And it's all about confusion if you think about it, right? And really undermining their self-esteem. So it has so many purposes. And you're like, how could anyone think like this? I don't really think about my heart beating right now, but it is. And that's how a narcissist just almost calculates people's biggest strengths and then decides to take them off and slowly edge until they believe or acquiesce to, okay, fine, I took the Home Depot dollars. Yep, I hit them. Oh yeah, that was what I did. So that's some of the common things that you'll hear, but there's also you know, there's tactics that most people don't understand. And I think if you think about these, I have some written down here. Withholding is one of them, right? This is where I don't want to hear that again. You're just trying to confuse me. So whatever you are fighting back now is an inconvenience and they're withholding the truth. Countering, this is where, you're wrong. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. You don't have the information, right? I never said that is denying what happened, and they do that. I never promised you that. I never said this, right? And again, the denial is the gaslighting, and it's your fault. There's the attack.
One of the reasons I love that you do the journals, and I know you have a new journal coming out, which I'm really excited for you about. Or actually, I'm excited for anyone that can get one. I can remember my ex would exactly make me want to recall something. And he would say that he didn't say something. So I literally, a couple of years before my divorce, kept a journal and I would have to write the date and exactly what room we were in and where he said this. And you could see my writing over the years would get larger and larger because I would be so mad when I was writing something down. But I had to go back and recall it because when you're living in that life, it becomes your life. So you forget that you're actually doing that. And when you're thinking divorce, or you know that it's going to come at some point to save yourself, you want to write that down because over 23 years, you can't remember it all because you learn to accept that behavior and you're actually a part of the behavior because you feed into it because you're being a victim of it.
Mhm.
So I remember just writing this down, and I could remember it took me a couple of years to get over it. And I think 5 years post divorce, I burnt the journals. I was like, I cannot go back and read this stuff anymore. I can't go back and live. I have to let that go. I have to forgive whatever had happened and let
Mhm.
that go so I can move on with my life. But during that period of time where I was considering divorce, it was very helpful to not feel so crazy, to actually journal when this stuff was happening so that when he did come on the attack of when did I say that? When are you sure? Like, what exactly did I say? I could flip to the page and actually read on this date we were standing in this position and this is what was happening. And then, of course, he changed it to something else. But I felt better, like because I can't recall even now I can't recall great conversations verbatim, right, Karen? Like I want to repeat something that I talked with. I can't recall every
That
detail.
happens to us so much.
So yeah, so it became frustrating when you're in this gaslit situation. And it
Mhm.
was very comforting to have that journal to go back to. And it was just, a marble book, nothing to guide me like what you have. So yeah, I appreciate the value to journaling so you don't feel so crazy.
And that's one of the best things that people can do is start to document because you will feel like you're losing your mind. You will feel like this didn't happen. What are they talking about? That's the part of the gaslighting that gets people. It's like, did I lose the Home Depot dollars? And you replay it. Did I do this and this? Right. So by documenting it, that's the best thing. And what we want to establish in a divorce is patterns. Judges love patterns. And if you are starting the day the divorce, you're not going to have the historical patterns that you're describing, right? And again, not everyone's going to go, oh, that's gaslighting. I'm going to write it down. But if people are listening to this and they're going through a divorce, start now. Start to say, this is what happened. This isn't how I remember it. And then, oh gosh, look, they're doing it a week or two later. Same lie. The repetition of the Home Depot dollar story is going to come, and you're going to be like, okay, now I see. Now they're actually trying to brainwash me that I did that, right? Whatever it is, that I'm a bad mom, that I did this, right? The more you document, like you just told us, Catherine, it's brilliant. It's what's needed for people because now it's not just one or two times, but this is the 45th time they've tried to tell you something that you know isn't true. And calling them out on the lies in court is basically they're kind of going through this, telling you what they're going to use against you by gaslighting you with these things. So you're a bad parent, and you know you missed picking up the kid one day at school, not the other 365 days, but they'll harp on that one time, making you into the bad parent. And if you have the documentation going, yeah, I was late one time, and the car in front of me crashed into a car and I was stuck in traffic for 5 more minutes, knowing that gives you back your sanity. And that's one of the best things people can do. So
Oh
kudos to
yeah.
you.
And even if you can't use it in court, because a lot of times they don't want to hear this stuff, you can use it for yourself, for your own peace of mind. And we do this on the financial side. A lot of times the narcissist is the money controller.
Mhm.
So they'll say, well, you spent this or you didn't spend this or, you took that money out. But if we can ask for statements to show the transaction, we don't have
Mhm.
to tell somebody that they're lying. We just say, okay, just can you show us the statement that provides the data to that? And
Mhm.
we believe you. We just need to verify it with the document. And, they don't verify it with the document in most cases. And even with the expenses, when it's a support situation, your lifestyle analysis with us is backed on the data. And we make you do the hard work of getting that data so you can support that number. Not that you have somebody telling you that, no, you can't spend like that and you shouldn't be spending like that. And that's not what you did. We like to turn that into the actual document itself.
Yeah. And for financials, that's the most important defense against it. That was a lie. This number is the truth. And here's the
Mm-hmm.
paperwork behind it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's different on the financial end versus the emotional end, right? Gaslighting is to disrupt you emotionally. When they do it in the financial world, it's like, yeah, we've got the numbers. So that didn't work so
Mm-hmm.
well. Not that they don't try, because it's not about messing with you guys. It's about messing with the victim and
Mm-hmm.
their mind. And if they think there's no money, they will believe it. And they probably never got access to the paperwork until you guys are in the picture. And then they're going, oh, that's what we have?
I should have left years ago.
Absolutely. I have a friend that um, divorced a man after I think 29 years. And the whole time she thought that they didn't have a lot of money. And if she spent more than $50 at the grocery store, she was sent back with the things. And they had a family of five, but she'd have to bring things back. And when the financials came in for the divorce, they were beyond middle millionaires. They had a lot of money and she never knew it. But he gaslit her the whole marriage to thinking they were poor. Yet he would buy $5,000 watches and she said, but he justified it that he needed it for his job, but she had to be careful. So that is how financially you can be gaslit in your entire marriage into thinking we're always on the edge. You can't buy that, but they buy a Porsche, and you're like, what? So there's that discrepancy, and it can go in so many ways financially as well.
And you say, Tracy, as well, that when a situation changes or there's life transition, specifically a divorce in our conversation today, that gaslighting can escalate. And so not only are you dealing with the transition, but you're dealing with the escalation of that specific behavior.
And let's think about when it changes in divorce is they start to gaslight the children. Mommy or daddy did this. They're bad. They are slowly morphing the children. That's how they're turning them against you, is gaslighting the kids, right? Gaslighting their lawyer into thinking you are the bad person, gaslighting the children's therapist, gaslighting the judge that they are the victim, right? It's everywhere, all throughout the whole thing. And yes, it's a lie, but it's a lie with a purpose to make you feel crazy, less than, and all of the other things that come with the delicious sandwich of gaslighting.
I'll never forget the time one of my stepdaughters called me and she was crying and she said, I remember, I now know how dad's been treating you because he's treating me that way now. And I felt so bad that she was the brunt of what I used to get. And it
Mhm.
was verbal abuse, not physical. And I felt so bad, but then I also felt so vindicated. Like,
Mhm.
they were because they were angry that I wanted a divorce, right? Like now maybe they're seeing that I just couldn't take that anymore,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, they do that. They always need a source to take out their feelings or their whatever you want to call it,
Their control. I
their
mean,
control,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah. I
their
mean,
actions.
moving from one to another is often what happens. It's, the spouse gets a divorce and the children are the ones that are being gaslit and lied to and mommy's bad and then they go home and punch mommy and tell her they wish she was dead, because of this gaslighting. They know the truth about mom, but they're so impressionable that the little minds are poisoned by the repetition until they put fear in the kids to go home to mom. And I'll think
Yeah,
about this as a gaslighting example. I wouldn't, trust your mom's food anymore. I wouldn't eat what she's cooking. I don't know what she's doing with her food anymore. I've had that happen many times in my
that's
clients.
terrible.
And then the kids are afraid to eat at mom's.
Mm.
That then puts them going, well, I want to go back to dad because I feel safe and I can eat there. So again, twisted little things and how they do this with the kids.
So sad. Yeah.
It really is
In the
sad.
financial end, I'm sorry, Karen. What was that?
I was just going to make a comment that to that point, even it seems like it never ends. Like
Mhm.
it will be with you forever. So it is something that you really should find a way to address or deal with.
Mhm.
I know my ex-husband used to tell the kids, well, she left me, so I'm sure she's going to be leaving you. So be ready for her not to be there when you get home one day.
Oh my gosh,
No.
it's terrible.
And my kids are older now, much older. And just recently, both of them, my older kids, made the comment that my ex still talks about me in a way that's very derogatory. And I think, are you kidding me? It's been
Mhm.
20 plus years. What would he even have to say? I don't even think of anything. And they just said he never let it go. And
Yeah.
so, they're fine now and they are able to reconcile with it. But it just occurred to me that, it will go on forever. Like, I guess that will just be forever in his mind. That is something that he has to talk about from, his vantage point. So I
He's
just found that very interesting.
he's never going to let it go because that's his story. And he feels if it's slipping away, whoo, go back in and
Yeah.
hit it again, right? But we were talking about the recovery of this.
Mm-hmm.
When you are gaslit, and depending on how many years and what you got, you have guilt
Mm-hmm.
that you have to work and on, shame, you have self-blame. You start to take on that blame and almost, oh, let me get it before that, and people take it on. You feel controlled. You end up having to have self-doubt and, just learning to come back and set boundaries because a lot of this is boundary taking away, right? Anything that you say is going to twist and get right back, and you're not going to be able to do it. So the repercussions of being a gaslit person require a lot of internal work afterwards to kind of get your ship so that you start to trust yourself, trust others, and call it out. And like if somebody's going to put some gaslighting on you, what are you going to do to not tolerate this again? Me first sign, I'm not giving you a second chance. You're out. I'm not going to play that game. And so people have to get to a place where they recover and they hit all these wounds because it really does make your life unsafe to feel like you are back in control. You doubt yourself. Everything sort of just gets lost and you become a shell. People come to me and I'm a shell of who I was. Yeah, because everything you believed and everything you said was wrong, wrong, boom, boom. And they have to get to a place where they realize what happened to them and heal those wounds.
It's not an easy journey, I could say, speaking from my own personal experience. And it's very often that you find another partner, the next partner, who love bombs you, like does it in a whole nother way, right?
Mhm.
So I really am an advocate for, taking the time to go through the process to heal yourself. You
Yeah.
know, I don't sit here and cry about it anymore, but it took me years. We could have had this conversation, 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, and I could have probably cried over it. But, doing the work makes you so much stronger. And it's another reason why Karen and I advocate all the time for the financial clarity. It's because I know how empowering that is to have the financial knowledge to make decisions. I mean, that is what divorce is. You have to make decisions. And whether your spouse is a confirmed or diagnosed narcissist or not, in divorce, most of them have narcissistic traits, right? So
Mhm.
you really need to verify information with data, as uncomfortable as that is, or change your relationship with money, because that is a great pillar to have to work on. I had the financial strength. If I didn't have that, I don't know how I would have worked on the emotional side to it, because you need to have your independence. And that independence is what gives you the strength. So if you're listening right now and these are some of the traits that you are being exposed to, take the time to, work with Tracy, do her journaling, take the time to get the financial clarity that you need by requesting documentation so you can verify numbers, because that will be your superpower in life moving on, because you'll be independent, and you have to be independent to have any successful relationship moving forward, even with it your children, your friends, your family, your next partner in life. You need to be independent, both emotionally and financially. So Tracy,
and
how can
stronger.
our listeners find you?
My website is narcissistabusesupport.com. Everything's there. All my videos, my YouTube channel, my podcasts, all there. Anything about my coaching and services and books, it's all there. So
Great. And we're going to get on with you again. So don't be afraid to leave us some comments or some questions that you would like us to discuss with Tracy when we get onto her podcast, because we could bring that and continue the conversation, because we really all, the three of us, want you to move through this process in the best way possible and find that independence and security that you need for your life post-divorce. So Karen, I don't know if you want to take it away here.
Well, to our listeners, take a breath. If things feel confusing right now, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you need clarity, and that's something you can build one step at a time. So until next time, protect your peace, let knowledge be your power, and thank you so much, Tracy, for an excellent conversation.
thank you.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of We Chat Divorce. We hope this episode was informative and supportive on your divorce journey. If you're looking for more support for navigating divorce with confidence and clarity, head over to mydivorcesolution.com for more podcast episodes, divorce events, and resources for your divorce. We'll see you back here for our next episode.